Hi there, I'm Jennifer and welcome back to another edition of my Midlife Student Life. Today we're going to talk about money, specifically the cost of my 4-year education. This video is especially for you if you are someone who is considering the program at the Canadian Academy of Osteopathy in Ontario, Canada, or if you are someone like me who's nearing the end of their venture and you're just curious, how much did this program actually cost you? That number is actually a very different number for different people, and I'll explain today why this number can be low or very high, and this will maybe help you in your planning of attending this program. So let's begin with standard costs. Standard costs are going to include costs that everybody has to pay regardless of whether you live next door to the school or you have to fly in to attend classes. The first thing I want to identify is the fact that the tuition fees that I'm going to present to you are what I paid over the course of the last 4 years. I began the program in 2021 and I will be completing it, if everything goes well, in 2025. And so over the course of time, tuition fees go up, and recognize that my costs will be a little bit different than what you may be calculating if you start the program today. I started with an inductions course that the school offered at the time for students who came from a non-healthcare background, or if you didn't have a substantial amount of anatomy and physiology courses, which are now prerequisites. So my first tuition item was $1,450, which was the cost of the course at that time. My first year's tuition was $7,000. My second year tuition was $7,500. My third year tuition was $8,320, and my fourth year's tuition is currently $9,524. I know for a fact that the first, second, and third year tuitions have already increased. So again, these are not current numbers, but I have spent a grand total of $33,794 on tuition for my 4-year program. But let's continue. Another standard cost is uniforms, which is something the school requires. You've seen me in my videos wearing my white shirt, white tunic, my black pants, black socks, and black shoes. The cost of the uniforms for the last 4 years, I've spent $1,500. Now that includes me purchasing black pants, black socks, white shirts, t-shirts, and long sleeve shirts that go under the uniform that we purchased from the school. Next item is books. Based on my calculations of the workbooks that are required, as well as textbooks required reading, as well as some optional books which I've purchased for benefit, the total cost was $2,200 over the last 4 years. Recognize that this could be a lower number for you because many of the required readings are available online in PDF form from the school. I just really like to have a hard copy textbook, and I'm kind of old school that way. Next, under subscriptions, there's one subscription that really is required, and that is Complete Anatomy. This is a web-based subscription of a 3D imaging of the body. You've seen me talk about Complete Anatomy before, and I've used it. The cost for it currently is $70 a year, which is $280. My other subscription that I use is a program called RemNote for note taking, which I love. It's a flashcard based program that now uses AI as well. It's very exciting. It costs $192 a year, and that's in USD. However, for me, I've actually been using this program for free because I've been a bit of an ambassador, told enough of you guys about it, and I've had enough friends and friends of friends and friends of friends all sign up for use of RemNote for at least a few months, and with that, I've actually been able to use it for free. Next line item is office supplies, and under here I put $250, which is probably a conservative number. That includes basics like pens, paper, notebooks. We still write quite a bit of stuff by hand, paper for the printer, printing off assignments, and so on. So my standard list of fees for the 4-year program comes to $38,024. But that's just the start. Dun, dun, dun. Now we need to talk about the fact that this school program is a 12-month-a-year program and currently does not offer residence and does not offer a cafeteria, a meal plan, anything like that that you may be used to at other educational institutions. It is a building that you have to drive to, and you have to find somewhere to stay, to sleep over, to be ready to go there and attend there. Now, if you're someone that lives within the vicinity or within, an hour or so of the school, you can drive in and you can sleep at home. That's really nice. I don't have that luxury. I travel in from 5 hours away, and that means I have to find a place to stay. So we're going to talk about the numbers that I've spent over the last 4 years, and then I'm going to also share with you some of the other potential costs if you're someone that travels a greater distance. So let's take a look. So for traveling, I've only included here the cost of fuel over the last 4 years. I have spent $14,400 on fuel, getting myself to and from school, and that's it. Just transporting myself around. That again is probably a conservative number because I generally travel in with a classmate, so we carpool as much as we can. Otherwise, that number would probably be a lot higher. Some of my classmates actually fly in because they're either in a farther away part of Ontario, or they're actually from another province coming in to the program. And in this case, I've done a quick summary of what they could be spending. And at this point, to fly in, you are looking at $35 to $40, upwards of $45,000 over the course of 4 years. Next, we have the Airbnb. You could be staying at a hotel Airbnb. Now, for me here, this number is very low. I've spent $5,000 on Airbnb accommodations over the last 4 years. This is a very conservative, low number, and that is because I stay with a classmate a lot of the time, and even this Airbnb, we split the cost of staying there. So if I was staying at an Airbnb by myself, I calculated I'd be spending an additional $30,000, or even the hotel in the area. I really encourage you to find a classmate you get along with. If you have to stay at a hotel or an Airbnb, that you can share that expense, because that is one of the larger expenditures to being in the school. Some people actually end up moving to Hamilton so that their commute is close, they're right there. The next line item under that travel piece I put is food. So food for me includes not only when I'm on the road traveling, but also when I'm down there. So a lot of the food I do bring from home. I'm not including home cost food, that the money I spend at home bringing food. So this food is basically just the stuff that I'm buying when I'm down there. And I'm spending $5,000 on food over the course of 4 years, which, just over $1,000 a year. That's actually not too much for the amount of travel that I'm doing. But if I was to even estimate how much some of my other classmates are spending on meals when they travel in by air, for instance, and cannot bring any of their own food, they're buying everything locally, groceries and so on. This number could be easily 4 or 5 times this amount, I'm quite sure. Okay, so when I put all of my expenses together, the standard costs in addition to the travel costs that I've incurred because of where I live, my total costs over the last 4 years is $62,424. That's a lot of money. If you are someone, however, that needs to pay to stay, pay to eat, pay to fly, with that, the numbers that I was suggesting, you are looking at anywhere from $120,000 to potentially $140,000 over the course of a 4-year program. That's also a lot of money. Additional costs that I have not included here that might be something that you have to consider are childcare costs, course prerequisites, and technology. You may need to invest in new computers. You may need to have a new iPad. You do have to bring technology with you to school, so you have to have something. And of course, the bulk of our school program is currently using a program called Brightspace, and that learning platform is, well, it's web-based. You have to have some sort of technology to access it. So I hope you found that helpful today, and I know I found it very informative. I had a pretty good idea of how much my schooling was costing me, but at the end of the day, to kind of see that number right in front of me was sobering. If you're planning to be in this program, don't just look at those standard costs. That might seem quite manageable, but it's all the other costs of travel, especially, and accommodation that I find can be very, very expensive. So that wraps up today's video. Thanks for joining me, and have a really great week getting back into semester 2. Until we talk again, stay strong and stay fun.